Mic check 1 2. What is this, man? Machiavelli Mills TV here. I'm a straight shooter, so I'm gonna just say what it is. There's gonna be a lot of people that dislike this video. I know it's gonna be a lot of people who comment some negative things on this video. It may be some people that may want to unsubscribe or whatever, right? But nonetheless, I was raised to speak my opinion and speak my mind, no matter how some other people may take it, as long as I know I'm not trying to be malicious or I don't have any foul intent with what I'm saying. There is selective outrage when it comes to Deontay Wilder and his statements, and some of the statements that he makes or some of the things that he does. People have selective outrage. I'm going to explain that in a minute. First of all, I will be the first person to say, I do not like when Deontay Wilder says he's trying to catch a body and he wants a body on his record. I cringe when I hear that. I know that, boxing is a very dangerous sport. There have been individuals who have lost their lives in that ring, and there are individuals who have been permanently damaged from boxing. It's a dangerous sport, a risk that all men know that they take when they enter that square circle. When they enter the boxing realm, they know there's a possibility they could end up hurt very badly or, at worst, die. But this is my thing, right? And I said this before in other videos. I don't think Deontay Wilder really wants to kill somebody. I think Deontay is trying to cultivate this image of him being this fearful guy, this fearful boxer, a boxer that you should be afraid of. He's trying to market himself as that, like the baddest man breathing on the planet. He is the hardest hitter in boxing. He wants to cultivate an image of fear, that the boxer that he's facing will be intimidated and the public will buy into the perception that he is a guy you don't want to mess with and also a guy that you want to watch fight, right? And I think that in the midst of that, I think that at some points there is like it's kind of like a confusion between who he really is and the Bronze Bomber alter ego. I say that because people say, how he contradicts himself so much. How can he in one breath say, I can't wait I want to have a body on my record, or I want to have a body on my record, or and then in another sentence he'll say something like, I'm all about love, I'm all about peace, I'm all about peace amongst people, we got to love each other. Well, for one, is because Deontay Wilder is a really peaceful, loving individual. I watched several interviews with that person, and I mean, y'all don't have to take my word for it. But anybody that knows me knows that I'm a pretty good judge of character. I'm a pretty good judge of character. I can watch somebody, I can listen to somebody talk and listen to the things they say and how they say it in interviews, and I can observe their body language, and I can observe them and can tell if they're being genuine or if they're not. Deontay seems to be a really family-oriented guy. He seems to be a good person, even in interviews, man, when he talks about his children, his family, his grandmother, when he talks about all of the friends that he grew up with, his struggle from driving trucks and working in IHOP in order to provide for his ailing daughter. And he talks about how far he's come and giving back to his people and talking about the plight of African-American people. He seems extremely sincere in that. And he seems like a very good individual, a good, wholesome person to talk to. He seems like you get good vibrations talking to him. Now, when he's in boxing mode, when he is in fight mode, he's a different person. And I think that, again, he's trying to cultivate this image of fear, to sell fear to the public so that he can be recognized as the baddest man breathing oxygen in the ring, and so that his opponent can be fearful of him. But this is the thing, right? People are hating Deontay Wilder for those statements. They don't like it. I don't like when he says he'll catch a body, although I'm a huge fan of Deontay. But then people say that Deontay he's a disgrace for saying those type of things. He's a despicable person. He should be banned from boxing. It's horrible. They hate him for saying those type of things, right? But yet those very same people that say that about Deontay, how despicable of a person he is, they champion Mike Tyson. They loved Mike Tyson during his reign. They loved him for the vicious and ferocious person that he was in that ring, and a lot of times for the things he would say outside of the ring, the attitude he would have when he fought individuals. Mike wanted to take your soul. He wanted to break men in half and impose his will on men, and people championed that. Mike used to tell people stuff like, and I wrote all of this stuff down. Mike used to tell people he'll put them in body bags. He used to tell opponents that. And people cheered it on and stood up and clapped and were like, just like they were loving every minute of that, right? Mike told Lennox Lewis where he'll eat his children, telling people he'll eat their children. Children. Now I know people are going to try to say, they'll have a counter argument and say, well, and then again, when Mike said he'll eat their children, people was like, in the comments, that's a real man. Mike just being real. You know, people were saying, I wrote all this stuff down. People in the comment section like, Mike's a badass. They chalked him saying he'll eat people's kids, put people in body bags. They chalked it up to him being a badass and a real man. Now when Deontay Wilder says it, he's a villain. He's a terrible person. He's a terrible and despicable human being. He shouldn't be heavyweight champion. He should be stripped of his belt because he keeps saying he want to catch a body. And Mike was saying stuff over and over again, telling women you can't talk to him unless you fornicate with him. All type of crazy stuff. And people loved it and was like eating it up and was buying into the Mike Tyson, the reign in general. And you know why that is? Because I guess visually, Mike was he was more appeasing to watch. He was more appealing to watch than Deontay Wilder. Why? Because Mike was more, boxing wise, he was more disciplined. He was more of a technician. His technique was much more crisp. He just looked more fluid with his movements in the ring. Wilder, on the other hand, he does not have a style that is appeasing to boxing aficionados. He doesn't throw the most perfect jab. He doesn't throw the most perfect left hook. You know, he gets wild at times, right? He's a brawler more than a boxer. It's because they don't like Deontay's style. It's not appeasing to them. Deontay is not the guy that a lot of people want as champion because they feel like he does not have the skills to be put on a pedestal as champion, even though he's rightfully just been knocking dudes out. They don't like the fact he's champion, and they feel like that's not the guy I want as a champion because he fights wild, and I like guys who are more fluid and more technical and more, I guess, crisp with everything that they do. So they would rather somebody else be champion because they not sold on Deontay Wilder, and they don't like his boxing technique at all. So they have a problem with Deontay saying this stuff because they don't like Deontay's technique at all. They have a problem with him saying those things because they don't like how he fights. They don't want him as the champion. They don't want him. Those individuals that have a problem with Deontay and don't have a problem with Mike Tyson, they wanted Mike Tyson as the champion. They feel like he embodied what a champion was despite the heinous things he said. Eating people's children and all of that. And I know people are going to try to say, well, Deontay said he want to cripple Dominic Breazeale in front of his son. He never mentioned doing anything to Dominic's son. And he also mentioned that when he got into that scuffle with Dominic, his brother protected Dominic's children as if he were as if they were his own children. He protected them. His brother did, even when they had the scuffle with Dominic. So even though he said he wanted to cripple Dominic in front of his son, which is something I didn't like, you know what I mean? But Mike Tyson told Lennox Lewis he wanted to eat his children. And people championed that and like Mike's a badass. And like, yeah, Mike. And Mike he just coked up, but it's okay. It's okay. He went through a lot in his childhood. They chalked it up to that type of stuff and saying that. But they love Mike Tyson because they loved Mike Tyson's era. And again, Mike Tyson's era and reign was great. He was a magnificent boxer, and it looked beautiful. It looked pretty when he did it. Deontay's doesn't look pretty, so people have a problem with Deontay, and now they're acting like he's the most heinous individual that they've ever seen, right? But we got all different other fighters who said heinous things, and then the same backlash doesn't come to them from the fans the same way it comes to Deontay Wilder. It's that they don't like who Deontay Wilder is. They don't like how he fights. They don't like what he represents. They feel like he's this country bumpkin, this big, tall country bumpkin from Alabama, who they feel like does not talk the proper English the way that they want him to talk. He doesn't articulate himself like a Harvard scholar. So they have a problem with that. They have a problem with Deontay Wilder talking about social injustices and oppression, he talks about the plight of African American people. They chalk that up to him being racist. Really? Really? Have you ever heard Deontay Wilder say disparaging things about white people? Or have you ever heard him say disparaging things about a lot of groups of people? And I've heard other fighters say all type of crazy responses, remarks about other ethnicities of people. But Deontay's this big racist that they hate. And I'm like, what? Because he speaks up for his people, he's a racist? Again, people don't like Deontay. And this is coming from me. I don't like everything Deontay says. I don't like him saying he want to catch a body in the ring. I don't like that. I don't think he should say that. Although I'm still a fan of Deontay Wilder, I'm still a fan of him. I still am a fan of him, for real. But I don't think he should be saying that. But people have a problem. They didn't have a problem with when Mike Tyson said those things. And I'm a person, when Mike said that, I cringed. Like, why did Mike say that? Mike shouldn't say that. I cringed on both ends, but you got other individuals who didn't cringe from Mike when Mike Tyson said it. They thought it was cool and funny and chalked it up to Mike being a badass when he said those statements about putting people in body bags and eating their children. But when Deontay said he wants a body on his record, because they don't like Deontay and what he represents, who he is as a person. Really, when I say who he is as a person, I'm talking about where he comes from, how he talks. Him talking up about the plight of African American people, something that people don't like you to talk about because they just deem you as racist when you talk about historical facts. And then they don't like the way Deontay fights. So that's why it's outrage toward Deontay. They don't like him. They want him to lose so bad. So this is why they really feel like Deontay, they demonizing Deontay for these sentiments. Again, I don't have a problem if you saw it bad on both ends from when Mike Tyson said that and when Deontay says those things, then okay, fair is fair. But if you were championing Deontay, the same people, I saw comments from people championing Mike Tyson for saying stuff, the same people in the comment section on YouTube hating Deontay Wilder for what he said. I'm like, what the hell is the difference? You tell me, right? And then again, I watched The Breakfast Club. UFC fighter, MMA fighter, Israel Adesanya, right? Israel Adesanya, they call him Izzy. He was on The Breakfast Club, right? And he described about Charlamagne the God asked him a question about him saying that he told the guy that he was fighting, he was willing to die in the ring. And he said, I meant that shit. He told him I meant that, right? And so when they said that, he said, yeah, you know, when we get in this ring, we understand that it's a possibility that we can die in the ring. And he said, I'm willing to die. And he said, when I was fighting, and I quote, I was trying to kill him in the ring. Literally, it's dog eat dog, and I'm trying to eat. And nobody in the comment section on YouTube had anything bad to say about him saying that. Everybody was championing him. They were like looking at, like they were really celebrating him. You know, they were really like looking at him as like, oh my God, that's a man. He's a badass when he said that. You know, looking at him like, okay, he's a champion. They were putting him on a pedestal for saying that. But let Deontay Wilder say he was trying to kill somebody in the ring. And people are going to say, well, he said it after the fight, so no. But he told you what his intent was during the fight. And I'm not trying to bring outrage to Israel Adesanya. I'm just telling y'all, you see how the selective outrage is. Deontay Wilder says one thing. Okay, it's heinous, it's despicable. You know, Izzy Adesanya says something. And people gloss over it and act like they didn't even hear it. Act like they didn't even hear it. He said, I was trying to kill him, literally. And nobody has a problem with that. And I'm like, huh? Let Deontay Wilder had said it. Let Deontay Wilder had said that. It would have been a huge problem. Why? Because people like the way Izzy fights. People don't like Deontay, the way Deontay Wilder fights. They don't want him to be the champion. They feel like his style is ugly. They feel like a guy that fights like that should not be winning. A guy that fights like that should not be champion. A guy that fights like Deontay is a brawler, is not worthy of holding that belt. But if he's not worthy, only way for him not to be worthy is for him to lose. You know, and I hear the arguments, he's not fighting nobody, okay. He's going to be fighting the people you want very soon. And if he beats them, what will be the problem then? He still will not like his fight. If he beats Anthony Joshua with that style, and he catches Anthony Joshua, drops him, knocks him cold, right? The problem will still exist. They still won't want him as a champion because in their eyes, even though he beat Anthony Joshua, if he beat Dillian White, the problem will still be that he is not the guy that they want. He does not have a fighting style that they feel is appeasing to the eye, and they will still have a problem with him. So this selective outrage, I feel like if y'all had a problem with what Deontay Wilder is saying, you should have a problem with what Izzy Adesanya said and what Mike Tyson used to say on the regular. Used to cuss reporters out all the time, and people attributed to Mike had problems when he was younger. Yes, he did. A lot of people had a lot of trauma and problems that they faced, and I know Mike went through a lot of stuff, and he probably didn't get healed from that as well. A lot of problems and issues in his life, but it's just crazy to me. It's just the people excuse the things that Mike did and try to make up an excuse. Mike was the baddest man breathing. So what if he could fight damn good? He said heinous things that shouldn't have been said. Like Deontay said some things that shouldn't have been said. But what is the issue with you jumping on Deontay for saying it and giving Mike Tyson a pass? This is another thing, right? This is how I know people just don't like Deontay in general. And I know this is a different realm, right? People will chalk this up to being entertainment. Tupac Shakur, right? And I'm not going to chalk it up to just being entertainment, because these were real street beefs that these two camps had issues amongst each other. People, they had issues amongst each other for real. Like, it was getting to the point, like, on some violent type stuff. Tupac was going back and forth with Biggie, right? I'm a hip hop enthusiast. When Pac did hit him up, when he said, "That's why I F'd your B, you fat MF'er." Then he said on the end of the song, talking about Bad Boy staff as a whole, telling them, "My fofo, make sure all your kids don't grow." The fofo, the gun, make sure all your kids don't grow. And everybody was like, "Man, Pac a real one. He's a badass. F Biggie. F Biggie." They want to mess with Pac. He's a real soldier. Woo woo. Bigging it up. Champion, like, they were just clapping it up for him. Even before Biggie died, so don't tell me, before Pac died, so don't tell me they just do it because Pac was dead. They was doing it when it was happening, when he dropped that track. They was bigging it up and jumping and screaming and loving it then, right? Even though they knew this was a real, this could have started a real war, because these people, it wasn't a beef that was on wax. It was real, like some stuff like when they see each other, it could have possibly been on when they saw each other. And everybody thought it was cool, fine, and dandy. That man, he was threatening them people, kids, with gunplay on that song. And I love Pac, but it is what it is. And everybody felt like that was cool. Like, everybody felt like that was good. Why? Because they felt like Pac, his style of rapping was appeasing to them. It fed their appetite for gangster rap. It fed their appetite for a rap beef that they wanted, a rap back and forth on wax that they wanted. A rap conflict in general, not even just on wax, a rap conflict that people wanted. It fed their appetite for that, so they was cool with it. And I cringe every time I hear Pac say that. I do. I'm like, damn, why he had to say that about that man kids? Why he had to say that line about "my fofo, make sure all your kids don't grow"? Like, why he had to say that? But everybody thought it was cool. Same thing, 50, one of my favorite rappers when I grew up. Get Rich or Die Trying is one of my favorite albums. I swear it is. When 50 was saying on Back Down, he talked about Ja Rule and his family. He said, "Yo mammy, yo pappy, that bitch you chasing. Yo little dirty A kids out effing erase them." This man, 50, was essentially talking about Ja's wife and kids. And everybody chant like they just bigging it up. Yes, 50. 50's tough. 50's a real dude. And man talking about that man kids and possibly his wife. And I'm like, huh? Everybody chant, like, everybody clapping it up for that. Everybody like, okay, talk your mess, 50. And don't say it's just entertainment on that end. Because that was some real life beef. People didn't get stabbed and hurt and all. Like, 50 got stabbed. People didn't get punched. Ja Rule allegedly got punched and all type of crazy stuff happened from that. That was real street beef. It wasn't just entertainment. And you had people talking, saying crazy stuff on wax about people's families and all of that. Was it despicable then? When Pac said what he said, was it despicable when 50 said what he said? People was clapping it up for that type of stuff. They was loving that. They was getting a rush out of that. Why? Because it fed their appetite for gangster rap and drama that they love, and they like 50, and they like 50, and Pac rapping style. They love that. But because they don't like Deontay Wilder, they won't have that same energy with Deontay. They don't say, man, that's the attitude that the American heavyweight champion should have. That's the, not even just American, that's the attitude that a heavyweight champion should have. They won't say that on his end because they don't like him. They don't like how he talks, how he fights. They can't stand him, so they have selective outrage, right? No outrage for Mike Tyson for what he said. No outrage for Izzy Adesanya. No outrage for even in rap and hip hop. When they knew it was real blood, like it was real street beef between 50 and Ja, and people clapping it up for when 50 was talking about Ja's kids and all that, and when all of that, and when Pac was saying my fofo, make sure all your kids don't grow, people loved every bit of that drama. They were salivating for that. But because Deontay Wilder is not the guy you want to be champion, it's selective outrage for him. Again, I don't like when Deontay says he's trying to catch a body. I don't think he needs to say that. I don't think he has to market himself. He doesn't have to sell fear to the public, being intimidating to his opponents or to the crowd. He doesn't have to do that because I think it speaks for itself. But nonetheless, that is how he's marketing himself. I see it the way he does it. When he wear the mask out, he trying to come out like he is the baddest man breathing on the planet. I don't believe Deontay really wants to kill anybody. I don't. I really don't think he does. I really don't think he's that type of human being, which is why you say, why is he saying he's contradicting himself? He want to catch a body 1 minute, then the next minute he's all about love and peace, and positivity. Let me tell you something, right? A person can say something, and I can tell that's not what they really want to do. They trying to cultivate an image and sell a fight. Sell a fight. That's what he's trying to do. Sell this fight to get people to come out. He really don't like Dominic Brazil. That's true. They really have bad blood. But he's trying to sell his fight. But let me tell y'all something, right? A person can say all the right things, be clean cut, have this prestigious image, this pristine image, and I can see right through them. They fake as a $3 bill. They fake as a $3 bill. And I know it. But they put on this clean image and they say the right things. And people will say, oh, he's a good person. And I'm looking at him like, man, this dude fake and phony as it can get. Just fake as can be. Putting on a persona, a facade for everybody to fall over, to swoon over. Putting on a facade for everybody to just be engaged with and be enamored with. But that's not really him. I can see a phony from a mile away. But you got other people, as long as a person says the right things, he's politically correct, he does the right things, they're a good guy, you know, and that's the difference. I can watch other interviews with Deontay and see how he talks with his friends and with his family. He talks about his upbringing and talks about his life and what he wants to do in life and the goals that he has set forth. And I can tell he's not a bad, I can tell he's a really good brother. I really can. I can tell he really has a good heart that he does for a lot of people. In Alabama and everywhere, in a lot of other places. But everybody wants him to be looked at as this despicable human being for those comments about wanting to catch a body. And some people feel like, man, this sport is vicious. It is what it is. He just want to knock the guy out. He don't want to kill him. He want to just knock the guy out and have him knocked out, laid out on the ground. This is my thing, though. Right? Because even with that, yeah, he said it a couple times, right? But again, Deontay trying to sell his fight. He trying to sell his fight. Other fighters have said things crazy. I want like all type of crazy stuff. And I don't see the same type of outrage. I don't see people calling for the WBC to strip him of his belt and all that type of stuff. And they can say, oh, well, Deontay saying those sentiments is like premeditated murder if something shall happen. And I pray to God nothing happens. I pray to God that nobody loses their life in that ring at all anymore. I don't want to see nothing like that. I don't want to hear nothing like that. But this is the thing, right? If, like, let's just say somebody gets in the ring, right? And something happens. I really don't think Deontay gonna be like, it is what it is. That's that bronze bomber alter ego. And yeah, people can say you shouldn't say those things if you don't mean it, but you know how it is when these people, when guys trying to sell fights. But my problem is you didn't have a problem when other guys said it, but you have a problem when Deontay says it. So I'm looking like, what is the real meaning behind all of this? And I know people hate Deontay because they own this man's wife's, his fiance rather. They own his fiance's page. When she puts up any promo for the fight, talking about your husband's your fiance, he's a ducker and he's a bum and I hate him, I hate your fiance, I hate him. It's like, family, how much of a weirdo are you that you on this man's fiance's page under her pictures talking about him? You follow her to go under her pictures and talk about him every time she posts him. Like, you got to be the ultimate weirdo that don't got no friends, no girlfriend, no nothing, nobody to talk to. You never, like, you have no social life. You sit in the room all day. Sit in the room all day. Watch God knows what. And just be like an ultimate weirdo. Like, it's just some weird stuff. That's how I know people just hate Deontay. They don't want him to have that belt because he doesn't represent what they want him to represent. Or he don't fight this and that. Yeah. A lot of your favorite fighters didn't fight certain guys at certain points. But Deontay's going to fight all the guys you want him to fight. Very, very soon. But a lot of your favorite fighters didn't fight a lot of the guys that people were asking them to fight at the time, you know, that people felt like it was the best time. It's that you don't like Deontay. You don't like what he represents. You don't like how he talks, how he fights. You hate him. So that's why you're more outraged at any of those other examples that I dropped. When people in real life was displaying heinous acts and was saying heinous things, the outrage wasn't the same as it is now for Deontay Wilder. I question that. What's up with y'all? Y'all don't like Deontay Wilder. Y'all don't feel like he should be the champion. Y'all don't feel like he should represent, you know, the WBC. He shouldn't have a strap. Nonetheless, y'all gonna have to take that strap from him because he's knocking guys out. Peace.